have the chair, not really, right?
Okay. Oh my.
It's the story of something absolutely unbelievable happening. So I guess that makes it supernatural, but in a way it's a story of two parents trying to find their child, but in order to do that, they have to start believing things that they find ridiculous.
Have you been hearing anything or seeing anything that might make you think or feel that Charlie might be trying to communicate with you?
And so they're wrestling with their own beliefs and their own sense of reality. Reality changes for them in the course of this movie.
Spare a thought for Lovecraft, for Stoker, for Poe, and for Goethe's Earl King, because they were all bound by one great and noble objective: to scare the living shit out of you.
Mike is a professor of literature. He's someone that really cares about his students and tries to stimulate their imaginations, but he's not a believer in the supernatural. And I think what happens is he has to become a believer in order to save his child.
Maybe it's time to bring someone into the house. Like a psychic or a medium or something.
Those people are frauds.
He takes his son to a Halloween carnival and the son disappears. And this is one of the most heart-wrenching moments of the movie, and it also dovetails nicely with one of the themes of the movie of like, never give up hope. And since they never found a body or anything like that, they keep on searching. He keeps on searching for his son, and I think a lot of parents can connect with that sort of grief, potential loss, and never giving up.
This place was home to the first Samhain celebration in the country, the first Halloween.
In some alternative religions and even ancient pagan religions, Celtic or ancient European, there is the concept of Samhain, which is today is now called Halloween, but in those days it was the time of the year where the veil between the spirit world and the physical material world was very thin, and that you could communicate with spirits and you could cross over.
It is believed that there was one day a year when the crone could take someone to the other side. The final day of Samhain, when the boundary between the two worlds dissolves and she returns to take 3 children on Halloween night.
And what happens to Charlie, without giving too much away, the little boy, Mike's son, is that he gets abducted into, during the Halloween Samhain period, when the veil is thin, he gets abducted into another dimension of the spirit realm. And I have 1 year, the following Halloween, or Samhain, to get him back. And that's what this is really all about.
All I can tell you is that at the beginning of Samhain, as the door between the two worlds slowly opens, only the children taken the previous year can still reach out to this world. And they are the only ones who can be saved.
We have great watchable performances by Sarah Wayne Callies and Nicolas Cage.
I love the charm of the old horror films. I love ghosts, the concept of ghosts in movies, or the supernatural or the unknown or other powers or forces that may or may not be out there. To me, there's a charm to that in cinema. My mandate is drama and horror, and if you can do both in the same movie, then you're really onto something.
We've offered Nick a lot of different movies, and he never was the right one. And in doing a genre movie, he really hasn't done a horror film recently. He has children, And I think that is the core, that is the heartbeat of this story. And I think that's where it connected with him. And he also loves the Celtic mythology of how our ghost came to be.
Ellen Burstyn really showed the importance of dramatic acting to make the supernatural more real. Because of her incredibly authentic performance in The Exorcist, we believe the extraordinary circumstances that are happening. And that's sort of what I want to try to model, you know, on Pay the Ghost.
But what if all of these missing children on Halloween in New York City, what if they're all connected? What if there's something behind it?
Nick is, I've never said this to him and I never will, but I don't remember a time in my life when I hadn't seen his movies and just thought, oh my God. And somebody with that much experience and that much talent could probably behave however they want to. He was the first person off book. He's always coming to set on time. Nobody waits for him. Like he works with as much dedication and humility as somebody who just finished acting school. And so that makes everything easier because everybody around sees how hard he's working, and so they work that hard.
I'm giving it everything I have, and I'm hopeful that it will crystallize in a way that will be a ride, a supernatural ride. But I also like the idea of taking time with it. You know, it's a different kind of dimension that we're dealing with in Pay the Ghost. So it's not like, well, we're going to rush to the fire or to the crime scene. It's more like, what are we rushing to? We're suddenly at a pagan ceremony somewhere, and we're trying to understand if it's possible for a ghost to take our son, and can we get him back?
Our son was abducted last year on Halloween.
I'm sorry to hear that.
For almost a year after he disappeared, there was nothing. Then 2 days ago, we began to hear his voice.
There's a lot of talking about, just about little details. You know, like I asked them to give me a ring for my character. It's a really cheap, small ring that I always wear on my right hand. And I came up to him the first day and I said, okay, so I figured that you and Charlie picked this out for me for Mother's Day last year, and I never take it off. It's never mentioned in the script. We don't go into it, but it's that little kind of a fun thing. And then, you know, we were doing a scene and I noticed him looking down at it, and I just sort of thought, that's what we can kind of do for each other. Be like, here's what was in my imagination, what's in yours?
I think acting is combinations of things. It's reacting, it's listening, it's generating, it's taking action. It's many things. It's design. I've always had the feeling that you could do with acting what you can do in other crafts or art forms. If you could do something in painting, why not try it in acting? So I try not to limit myself. I think it was Pablo Picasso that said, art is a lie that tells the truth. I think that's acting.
I was developing this screenplay, and I was always a fan of Uli's film that got nominated for an Academy Award for Best Foreign Film called Baader-Meinhof Complex, which I think is a tremendous tale, and it showed me he's a great storyteller. And I just, even though he wasn't the most obvious choice, I thought it was just a kind of an elevated idea, because you can craft the genre part of it, but to have a great filmmaker tell the story and get the performances is the core of the movie. The rest we can help. So, and we can surround him with the right team to do those things. But to tell the story and get great performances, that's all your director.
He was someone that knew how to weave a complex, highly detailed, thoughtful movie. So I felt that he was a good choice for a subject matter like this, that so that it doesn't lapse into cheesy or camp or corny, but that it's treated in a more intelligent way. And that's what I'm hoping for from this movie. He seems very invested in the movie. He seems very invested in the script. He casts his films very well and gets to surround all the players with good actors.
One of the things that I really like about Uli is if something isn't going the way he wants it, he has suggestions for how to make it work. You know, there's such a thing as a director who goes, it doesn't work. And you go, okay, what, any thoughts? And they go, eh. And that's okay, I've worked with that. But it can be a little confusing because you go, well, do I go right, do I go left? Uli will say, I think we need to increase the tension, breathe faster. And you go, oh, that makes perfect sense, because when people are afraid, they breathe faster. Or, you know, he'll dial things a little bit. And like I said, he's got such a strong sense. He really trusts his own artistic instincts. So there's a reason for everything he does. You know, it's not just, it's going to look cool. He needs things a specific way.
We're very lucky to have a cinematographer whose movie's actually getting a lot of accolades, called Whiplash, a cinematographer named Sharon Mayer. And he is very good. His storytelling and shot composition it keeps you really off kilter and really, really conveys an energy and the loss from the parents, and also with that he kind of just moves fast. So he's very quick but not sacrificing quality.
Most movies that people shoot today are like doing television, which is to say you do it fast. You know, the great thing is you can work intuitively. If I'm not careful, I overthink things. And actually Uli said to me in the third take of what we just did today outside, he goes, what did you do differently? And I was like, I started thinking. He goes, no thinking. I said, yeah, okay, fair. And so I think sometimes you've just gotta, actors get too clever for their own good. So you just go and trust that you've done your homework and you know your lines. There's kind of a renaissance right now with movies like this. And they're seeing an opportunity to push characters farther than they really have ever gone before, because you're in a kind of Alice in Wonderland world. You know, it's all a little insane. And so when you take two human beings and you take their child away, and then you tell them your child's been taken by a ghost, you can do really interesting things with those characters. And I think that draws good writers, and I think it draws good directors, and I think it draws good actors.
We have a two-time Academy Award-winning actor to follow along on this journey, which is a blessing to our production. And we also have a very learned and experienced director who has a great passion for telling genre tales.
We have a filmmaker and a brilliant actor doing a movie that 20 years ago neither one of them would have considered.